Right then, gone around the model and done all these little bits of weathering. So we've got this really nice light all round bit of pigments, oils, chipping, okay, and it's all nicely going on all round, and it's not over the top, okay, it's not like mega in your face, kind of mega dirty as hell kind of thing. It's just a nice light all round bit of weathering. Okay, so now gonna look at something nice and interesting. Okay, what we've got here, we've got our MGs and our engine parts. Okay, these are the parts that stick into here, okay, and they fit perfectly, so we can play around with them nice and separate. What we're going to do, we're going to use our Mr. Metal iron colour. Okay, these paints quite expensive. I think they're around about £3–4. You only get 10 mils, but they are gorgeous. Okay, for this you want your PSI to be something around about maybe about 12 PSI, you know, quite light. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pour, well, first of all you need to mix it up. Okay, and if you look on the bottom you might be able to see how mixed up it is. You want it to be kind of nice and to the point where I think you can like see bubbles just on the bottom part, which kind of shows that all the little bits that have built up on the bottom have been shaken together nicely. Okay, and you will need a little bit of a kitchen paper towel, because when we pour this stuff into our airbrush, okay, it will pour down the side because it's extremely thin. Okay, so we pour some of that in there, and as I've said, it's poured down the side. Okay, so we wipe that away. We also put the lid on pretty damn quick, because this stuff really does evaporate extremely quick. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're just going to lightly spray this. Okay, nice and light all the way around. Okay, you don't want this stuff to dry up in one place. Sorry, you don't want this stuff to pool up. Okay, you don't want it to look wet, you just want it to nicely spray it with light misty coats. Okay, now if you look at that, it's looking kind of dusty, shall we say. It's looking kind of dusty, and it's looking quite a bit lighter than black, but we'll leave that to dry for a sec, because this is the cool stuff about this. There is another stage to this. There we go. That's all spray. Now we've got these little dinky MGs. So just going to get these little tweezers, and sadly I'm going to have to do what I don't like to do, and that is spray one side and wait for it to dry and then spray the other. Okay, don't like to do that, but in this case we need to. Okay, so I'll leave them two other guns for later. Okay, and I'll just show you what happens now. Okay, getting a bit of a cloth. Okay, we take our engine area here and we give this now a light rub. Okay, we just want to very lightly give it a rub. Okay, we don't want to apply too much pressure at the moment. Okay, so I'm just lightly rubbing this, and then once you're starting to see it shine up, you can then start to get a little bit more aggressive and start giving it, you know, more of a rub, like I am now. And basically the more and more you rub at this, okay, the more and more it will shine up, and the more and more it will really start to look metally, okay? And the cool thing with this one is, because we've got some detail going on here with like raised areas and lower areas, our raised areas are really kind of getting buffed up and shined up, okay? And as a result, it gives us a very nice looking piece. Okay. Now I need a little bit of a cotton wool bud just to get in to some of these little areas here, because I can't quite get in there with a cloth. Okay, and I want to bring this detail out a bit by bringing out the raised areas just in a little areas here. Okay, now bit of paper and I'll just see if I can get you a nice close-up now of this. Okay, don't know where well, I think you can see that quite well. As you can see, that is looking pretty nice metally effect going on. Okay, and with all that raised area, you've got shiny bits and you've got dull bits, and it really is a very nice effective paint. Okay, now with these weapons, okay, I don't want to quite buff it up. I'm just going to give it a bit of a rub with my fingers, okay, rather than with a cloth. Okay, because these weapons are supposed to be like a black, but by giving a little bit of a rub with your fingers, okay, it still makes it look kind of quite dark. Okay, it's not been shined up and buffed up like we have buffed up with this one. It's still looking quite dusty and well, it's basically still quite looking like this, which is quite dusty compared to shiny. Bit of a rub with a finger and you just bring out these little tiny raised areas and slightly shine them up, not buff them up, but just slightly shine them up, and it just gives them that bit more of a extra nicer effective looking weapon. And we can do the same with this one, just rubbing it with our fingers. Okay, so we're not buffing it, we're just bringing out some of those edges to give it a nice looking effect. It's almost giving it a sort of like, say we sprayed this gun black and then we say dry brushed it with silver, it's giving that kind of effect, but a hell of a lot nicer and a hell of a lot better. Okay, so they're looking really nice now to go on the model. So I'll continue buffing these up and spraying these other two guns up, okay, and then we can get on to the next stage. Right then, so we've just done our propellers and stuff. Basically with the propellers I sprayed them black green RLM 70, which is Vallejo 71021, okay, and basically it was just gluing them together, and that's that. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to not glue into place, okay, but I'm just going to slot in a nice engine area here and put our propellers in, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do what I like to do, which is a last bit of post shading. Okay, just get rid of my airbrush cleaner out of the airbrush. Bit of Vallejo thinners, okay, and what we want to do is make a mega thin consistency. Okay, I've just put quite a bit of thinners into our cup, okay, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops of black in, okay, so we end up with like a really thin transparent black going on. Let's get a cocktail stick and we'll just mix this in. Okay, and the way I kind of tell I've got it good is when I look at the end of my cocktail stick, the black is looking pretty transparent. You can still see your cocktail stick. Okay, and then I like to have a quick a big blast. Okay, I like to just blast through a load of it just to make sure it's all the same kind of thinness. Okay, so we check our flow here, and we are going to be really nice and thin, okay, to do some last bit of post shading. Okay, so for this last bit of post shading, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take our flaps, okay, and I'm just going to put a light bit of black on our flaps. Okay, just like that, and that has now kind of given our flaps specifically a nice bit of extra weathering. Okay, so then our flaps are going to look a little darker than all the other pre-shading, bleaching and post-shading, all that stuff. Okay, going to do our rear ones as well. Now with this kind of post shading, it's best if you just give that light quick pass first, okay, like I've done with these, with all my tails and flaps and everything, and then once you've done that, you can then look and go, right then, shall I do some more, shouldn't I, that kind of stuff, okay, because this is where you could potentially really create some problems for yourself, because you could go pretty heavy, pretty fast, and then, oh no, you all these bits of last post shading you've done look really nasty black, okay, so I'm looking at this and I feel it could do with a little bit more, so I'm going to give it another quick pass. Okay, and just build it up and build it up until you've got it the way you want it. Okay, because this black is really thin, so it isn't really going to touch your model much, it's just very lightly touching it, and it's best to just keep going over and over it until you get it as dark as you want it, rather than coming in heavy and end up really messing up your model. Okay, and that's looking nice and black now. Okay, and we've also got decals as well. Okay, our decals have had no spray weathering going on with them, especially this yellow decal here, just going around the fuselage. That is pretty bright, okay, and we want to dull that down. So what we can do is we can just give it just a bit of a blast of black, okay, and because remember the black's coming out so light, we don't have to worry too much because it's only going to lightly cover it. It's going to be really transparent, okay, and we can also have all our other decals here, just give them a quick blast over, okay, just to dull down the decals a little bit, okay, just so it kind of blends the decals in that little bit. And it's all about getting a very thin black going. Because it's thin, you can really, you know, you don't, I mean you have to worry a little bit, but you don't have to worry as much because you're coming in so thin. Okay, so I've just had a good go at all our little decals here, and then what I like to do as well is stuff like propellers and frontal bits like this. I like to just give them a little bit of a blast as well, because that's where dirt and stuff's going to be flowing across and over. Okay, didn't expect it to spin, but that's kind of cool. Okay, and that's why I've put these propellers on. Okay, I've put them on so that when I'm spraying on the propellers, it's also going on the engines and it's all blending in and mixing in nice, which is good. Now I need to take these off, okay, because we're going to do some nice engine kind of dirt, you know, the smoke and the soot coming out of the exhausts. Okay, so I'm just still with the same nice mixture of paint. I'm wiping the needle end as well because it's drying up a little bit, and we're just doing streaks across, okay, just to build up this dark kind of dusty, sooty exhaust fumes. And we can also go over the wing with it as well and flicking. And basically what I'm doing is I'm holding down, getting air to come out, and I'm slightly bringing it back, okay, so that you could bring out a bit of paint. But as I flick it over, okay, I push the trigger forward and let go, so that you just get this quick blast and a flick going across, okay. You don't want to be holding and having the paint constantly coming down as you completely flick over. You just want to cut off the paint as you flick it over, and you just build up this nice bit of dirt and soot, okay. And we can do this to all of them, and it's just this nice way of building up. Now, to be honest with you, this is actually a bit maybe too thin, so I think I'll mix up a bit more of a less transparent black to do those bits, because it's not really going on. And the other thing you can do is, if you want, you can actually take certain panel lines as well, and you could maybe make one or two panel lines that little bit darker than the rest, just to kind of show that there's maybe a little bit more dirt and grime in one or two places, okay, because you do see on aircrafts there's like these patches of really kind of, it's mega grimy, and that's what we can do with this black, okay. The odd little one here and there. Okay. You want to be careful of spidering, so only remember the biting point. Bring back your button, so you're just starting to bring out that paint. Just get that biting point nicely. Okay, so that's like a nice little bit there. And you can also say a bit of an open panel. It's a little bit more tricky. Remember how I said how you do some flicks here for some exhaust fumes? Well, on the model you have to be kind of a little careful. Well, actually, I mean, to make it a little easier for you, what you can do, you can get a little bit of paper, okay, right where you want to do a bit of a something, and you can just do that flicking and give you that nice bit of a dirt and grime flow in that way with an airbrush as well, okay. So I'm gonna continue going all over the model, okay, and then I'll get back to you with some of the exhausts. So I've been all nicely all over, and now we can do some of our nice exhaust trails, okay. So checking our flow. Now this mixture is still thin, but we've upped a bit more black in there so that we have more of an effect. So what we can do is we can do that flicking motion, okay, and we get more black coming on here now to really bring that out a bit, okay, and just flicking along our exhaust as well, just to bring that out, just like so, and getting in all our little areas, and we're just spraying it so that we're representing this flow of exhaust fumes and all sorts of nasties coming out of that, okay. And you want to just slowly build it up and slowly look at it, and also kind of dry it off as well, just to make sure that because when paint's wet it looks different when it's dry, so just make sure you dry it off and have a look, go okay, do I need some more, okay, I won't mind a little bit more, okay, and we're just flowing this all nicely to make it look like a nice natural exhaust fumes. Okay, and I think that's probably enough before I end up going too far with it. Okay, it is looking pretty good, and we could probably give our engine here, our natural metal finish, a bit of a blast in there, because that's probably going to get a bit dirty as well. It's probably going to kill off our natural metal finish a little bit, but we can't have it too clean. So okay, so now actually that is looking quite good. I think I will thin this down a little bit more because I've missed one or two little places I'd like to get a bit more dirt and grime, so we'll mix in this bit more thinners, okay, to make it more nice and thinner, a bit like last time. And we'll just do a little bit more post shading. Okay, I'll just blast this out just to make sure we're all good. Okay, so I've just blasted out what's in the knee blend, so that I'm going to be spraying what I've just mixed up in the cup. Okay, and I just want to, by the walkways, give a little bit of a darker feel to it. Okay, very light, okay, even a bit random, and following the direction of flow. Okay, so again a bit of a motley effect, and then follow direction of flow. Okay, just so this area here on the walkways is a little bit more dirty and grimy than everywhere else, a bit more faded. Okay, and I think that's looking good now. Maybe a bit more on the tail, that's looking maybe a bit too clean. Okay, oh, another thing you can do is a couple of these streaks that you can get. Okay, maybe a few light little flicks again. Just here and there. Very light though, okay, just to kind of represent a direction of flow, the flow of the air going across our aircraft. Okay, nice and light though, you don't want it too in your face, okay, unless you've maybe got guns there or something, you can go a bit more like how we've done on our exhausts. Okay, and even at the back here as well, give them a few little flicks. You can even maybe go very lightly coming down our exhaust. And we're talking extremely light kind of flicks here, okay, really light, okay, nothing that you're going to go, oh I can see that, but just enough to kind of go, oh there's, you know, the paint works not just flat, there's something going on with that, okay. And we could turn this over and we can have a look under here and see what else we can do under here. Again, maybe couple more flicks, maybe a little bit on the engine air here, maybe even spraying the wheel wells as well. Ooh, I've just done a bit of a spill. Let's not spill that on the model. Okay, as I was saying, you know, spray a bit maybe in the wheel wells, just to maybe, you could dirty these up as well. Okay, maybe a couple of flicks. Get those decals looking a bit duller and not so clean and nice and everything. Maybe a little bit on our pylons for our bombs here, just dirty them up a bit. Okay, that's looking, I think, pretty nice and riffy now. Okay, so what's next? Okay, well, what's next is, if I could just get it, okay, is our extra acrylics by Hannants flat varnish. Okay, now I'm not going to spray the whole model because this stuff is quite fumey, so I'm just going to do a quick colour change, a bit of thinners into our cup. Okay, let's position this a bit better. Okay, quick colour change, tip it upside down, you know, get that gravity, bringing out all the little bits and stuff that may be in here, and flaky bits and dried up paint. Make sure it comes out that end. Bit of airbrush cleaner, and just keep spraying until this comes out nice and clear. A little bit more. Okay, looking good. Now, flat varnish, right. I find to get a really good matte coat, whack your air pressure as high as it will go. Okay, I've got mine at about just something like 55 psi. Okay, as you can hear, it's coming out pretty hefty. And what you simply do is you pour this in neat. Okay, however, I do like to make sure I clean off any flaky bits on the top. Okay, because we don't want our flaky bits going into our cup. Okay, so we can pour in a bit of this. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what I mean by how our matte coat is going to change the tones and colours and all that stuff. Okay, so starting with this wing, I'm just going to blast this wing with some matte. High air pressure, okay, about 5-6 inches away. Okay, so this will nicely go really matte. Okay, I'm cutting to air. And I think you can probably tell on camera maybe that this side, which we've got all nice and matte now, is lighter than this side. Okay, I think you can definitely tell with our grey camo pattern area how light that's gone and how dark we are over here with our grey over here. Okay, it's lightened up, and even all your kind of different pre-shading, post-shading, bleaching and everything, that's all changed colour, and it's just changed the whole kind of thing that little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and do all this because, as I say, I need to get my extractor fan on and gas mask on because it's quite a potent thing and stuff. So just remember, air pressure as max as you can get it, whack in your matte varnish in neat. Okay, because the matte varnish is quite thick, you need to have that high air pressure to be able to actually force that thick matte varnish out of your needle. Okay, and then by being about 5 or 6 inches away from the model, okay, what happens is you got such a high air pressure, and because I'm so far away, the matte is literally almost dried before it's even hit the model, and that gives you an even more nicer, matter finish. Okay, so I'll be back when all that's done. Okay, now as you can see, I've actually done quite a bit since the last take. Now, I've matted it all over, and I didn't want to bore you with lots of little things, okay, because there hasn't actually been that much done to this, to be honest. What I have basically done is, okay, I've glued on the wheel bay doors, I've glued on our bombs, okay, and literally I've unmasked the canopy and then glued in the guns. It's just been nothing more than a bit of gluing. Okay, I've made my propellers so as they are not glued in, and that's the way they can stay because they fit nicely like that, no problems. Okay, you can kind of turn them as well. It just makes it It's one of these things, World War II, okay, what's going to break on it? It's going to be the propellers. You know, if you've done models before, you know it's the thing that always breaks off. So having them removable, it just helps for any kind of transporting you're doing or anything like that, okay? Yeah, and what we've got left now is the real last final little touches, okay? First thing I want to do, okay, there's two things left, and that is we've got our antenna aerial thing that goes from this point to our tail end, okay? So what we're going to do, we've got what is, I'll get this from Models R Go, and it's a EZ line, okay, it's fine. It's kind of like your you know, your sewing cotton wool kind of stuff, okay, but it's almost like plasticky and it's elasticated. It's very, very thin. You don't get those hairs you get with like thread and stuff. It's really, really good for this kind of job. Now, little tricky, okay, I've got some Zapper Gap, okay, all put on a little bit of Tamiya masking tape. I'm going to get some on the end of a cocktail stick, okay, and I'm just going to put a little tiny dab on the end of my tail here, okay, and then very carefully, okay, I'm just going to try and glue that into place, okay. Now you've got to be nice and careful. You just want to get it so it just starts to glue, and then what we want to do, okay, is just leave that now so it nicely dries, okay. So we can get a little bit of Zapper Gap, okay. It's basically Kiko. It's a CA glue activator. Spray that and blow, and we're all good, okay. And then we want to do the same the other end, okay. And we just put a little bit of glue on the end here as well, just a nice little tiny like teardrop kind of bit of super glue. And then we don't want this to be like mega tight, okay, but we don't want it to be really loose, okay, and we just again the same this end, and we just try and hold that position until it starts to glue. Get a bit of kick out, and that should be glued into position. Right, trying to have more than 10 pairs of hands. You just then cut, I don't know if I'm getting in the way of the camera here, but you just try and cut as close as you can, okay. As close as you can to where it is, okay. There's still a little tiny bit left on there. Get this end as well, because we've got a bit of left over this end, okay. Actually, I'm kind of thinking it'll be a bit more precise if we use a blade, okay, and just cut that right up to it. There we go, and that is much more precise, okay. And let's do the same this end now, being careful because I have only just glued this on maybe 15 minutes ago. So just trying to be very careful because I'm feeling this is definitely not glued into place very well. Well, it is very well, just hasn't had the time to dry. There we go. Cool. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that on camera, we've got this nice antenna radio line thing going on. and that is another thing that nicely sets this off. Now the last touches, okay, which are gonna set this off really nicely, and I've left it deliberately till last because it's one of these things that you really don't want to knock, okay. Okay, so let's get this super glue out the way so I don't get it on me. Okay, this is the nice kind of cocktail trick where you get PVA glue and you make your own windows out of PVA glue. I'm using micro crystal clear, which is a canopy glue, which is basically PVA glue, and it dries to a nice crystal clear finish. Okay, and what you can do is because what we've got here, we've got two little windows, okay, just here on the spine of our fuselage. Okay, you get a nice bit of glue onto your, that's probably a bit too much for that size hole, bit of glue, okay, and you just put it inside our little window there, okay, and you just pull out. Okay, so try that again. It's a bit of a small one, so I can't really show you that well, but you put your cocktail stick inside, okay, make sure it touches all the walls inside here, okay, and now I haven't got enough super glue on there, sorry. Try it again, get in there, make sure it touches all the walls, and then very carefully pull the cocktail stick out. So you can probably see these two white dots now, and what's going to happen is that will dry, and it will dry crystal clear, and it will look like windows. In fact, they literally do look better windows than these canopies that you actually get with the kit. Okay, now I have got another one under here, but I don't want to put this on its back because we've just put that line in, so I want to prop this up with something. What can I prop this up with? 1 second. Let's try this. Okay. There we go. Prop that up. I don't know how well you can see. You probably can't see that on camera, but there is a little window down here. Again, we come in, bit of glue. We put it inside our hole. Okay. We make sure it touches all the sides by moving it around, and then when it has, we pull it out slowly, and then we should have our little window there. So I'll just prop that up for you to see. Okay, as you can see, we've just put that window in there, and when all that dries, those will look smashing. Okay, I'll just get rid of that now. Right then, so we're all done. Right then, a final conclusion of this particular kit. Problems, okay, problems. Now, fit issues, it was basically a general, it was one of these models that were generally all round kind of a bit of a fit issue. It wasn't anything major or some sort of really mega nasty fit issue. It was just a general all the way around. There was just, you know, you had to put the filler in, sand it, scribe it. As you've already seen, I mean, we did quite a bit on filling, sanding and scribing. The next noticeable thing was the canopies. The way these canopies were molded really did kind of, they had problems. We had all this, if you kind of remember in the out of the box review, I talked about the canopies, how they inject in the plastic, and when it joins it makes sort of like what looks like a crack, but it's not a crack. It's where the two pieces of plastic have joined and then dried, and it's made this nasty kind of line which looks like a crack. Looking at it now and the finished stages, okay, I can't actually see it, because I mean we did polish it up with those Tamiya polishing compounds, and it is actually quite hard to see. I mean, if I really kind of looked for it and put it up to the light, I mean, you can just see them and that kind of stuff. As I say, it looked like a problem, but it's turned out actually not that bad. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, but it would have been nicer if, you know, Revell actually kind of didn't have that problem. I mean, apart from that, the kit has gone together quite well. Just a general fill, sand, scribe, pretty much with most joints. The cockpit detail, I must say though, I'm looking at this now, and I mean, you can see in there to see all this cockpit detail, because you've got so much canopy going on, and it does actually look nice. And I'm glad that I did that bit of scratch building on the seats by putting in my own quick kind of seat belts, because the way the canopy is, I mean, you can't quite clearly 100% see in there. So although the seat belts were kind of like a quick kind of do it yourself, because you can't quite 100% see them, it does make it look nice and really kind of like nice detail in there, but you can't quite see how kind of, you know, we've made it ourselves. So I do actually like that cockpit detail. I do like the Mr. Metal paints that we did here on the front with our engine bay area. I mean, they have really nicely set that off, quite nice, looking good. The decals was a shame, because as we mentioned with doing the deckling stage, that the decals, they did have that nasty kind of orangey, yellowy staining on there, but as you remember, I showed you how to kind of remove that orange yellowy staining. But apart from that, the decals, they did conform nicely to Mocro Solid set. They did wrinkle up, you know, you could actually apply them really, really nice. The weathering, I am quite chuffed with the weathering. I mean, it's not looking, shall we say, mega weathered up, like it's been in all sorts of messy walls and, you know, going through mud and all sorts of weather and stuff. It's actually, and I do think it's a nice kind of World War II weathered, but it's not like mega weathered. The oils have come on quite nice. I mean, you can probably see them on our yellow elevators here more than you can on our flaps here, because you can't quite see them that well on camera, but you know, the detail is there, you can actually see them, and it's just a nicer way of doing like oil stains and that kind of weathering than trying to for example, I mean, I used to just do quick streaks with Flurry Models wash and do my streaks that way. They look quite nice, but they wasn't as nice and as realistically looking and blended as using oils that we did. So that has turned out nice with this aircraft. So the price as well. The price is about £30. The kit has been discontinued. Is it worth it? To be honest with you, I mean, it's still £30, and the canopy, I just didn't like how the canopy was going, and I did actually lose, no, well, sorry, I didn't lose, this part, sorry, this part here, there's a little part here which is part of the canopy, that actually didn't come with this kit, and when I tried to get one off Revell, Revell was just like, it's discontinued, don't bother us. Had to buy another kit and everything, and that's how I've had to get a new canopy. So I think, what company was it now? I think Dragon, they do the JU88. I think it's Dragon, I'm not sure, but there's another kit. It's a bit more expensive, but apparently it's more modern, it's nicer, it's better fitting and everything. I would like to have a go at one of them, because as I say, I mean, I think this has seen better days, but as you can see, I mean, for £30, okay, it has turned out really, really nice. So yeah, I mean, it's recommended, but as I say, I think there is a better kit out there that you can buy for a bit more money. But there wasn't any major fit issues, so apart from that, I mean, you know, this has been an enjoyable build. I hope you've enjoyed all this step by step going through this to get to this stage. Hopefully, you know, you might try doing this kit out. So until next time, I mean, have a great time modeling. Hope this has been a great help, and I'll see you around.